Yogic practices is that the belief system itself is not truly religious. There is no Buddhist God, per se. It is the self, the individual mind that contains immortality and ultimate truth.
What the hell is not religious about that? You've simply replaced God with the original self.
Yes, but we've localized it. At least to know where the self is. It's in our own minds. It's a form of human energy. Our atoms are 6 billion years old. We've got 6 billion years of memory in our minds.
Atoms are older than that.
Memory is energy. It doesn't disappear. It's still in there. That's a physiological pathway to our earlier consciousnesses.
So I'm looking over the landscape here on Interstate 55 in Minor, Missouri. I'm about 150 feet up in the air. Dawn is just happening. The sun is just barely starting to come up. I can see the stars. I can see the water tower. I see Drury and where the old Ramada Inn was at. I can see Burger King and McDonald's. I can see the whole area. And there's the outlet mall over there. And now as the sun's coming up, I find urgency and I need to get back home. And I fly up the interstate and I go back home and I wake up. So I just recently watched the movie Altered States, and in Altered States from 1980, it has William Hurt in it, and he is a scientist who is trying to answer questions about, like, where did this all start, right? It's like way back in our primal, right? And so he's using what it seems to be ayahuasca. It's not really said, but it's ayahuasca. And he is tripping out in these deprivation tanks. So it's like these tanks of water where he's floating. It's all black. He has no sound. And he can't see, right? It's like it's depriving you of all your senses so that you can hallucinate into your inner mind, right? And the film takes that experience very seriously. It's asking whether people can experience physical manifestations in these altered states. So they talk about schizophrenia and whether or not that's actually an open dimension where somebody's actually seeing something that's real. Okay, I think that's incredibly fascinating. Now, we've seen other cultures use pretty much the exact same type of thinking throughout history. We have the shamans on their shamanic journey. We have Tibetan bardos. We have the Greek psyche that all developed ideas about this exact topic, okay? And astral projection, which is still a thing. It's the same report, different cultures, no contact, and it's not a belief system. We're not talking theology here. This is deeper than theology. This is past the God question, in which we see that in Altered States. You see the eye of God, and he explodes past that into the cosmos, okay? My dream is just a data point, okay? And the things that I can see are verifiable. In my dream, I'm wearing the same pajamas I'm wearing when I wake up. I can see real physical things that are in real time. And so, like, there's a hotel right now being demolished out in Minor, Missouri. In my last dream, it was being demolished. Okay. Things like this. It's not just random data points. These are real data points, and I don't know what is going on, okay? Now, we talk about the physical manifestation, which is the film's wildest claim, right? Like, do you think that people can have physical changes to their body in these dream states, right? In these dream states. Consciousness intense enough that it moves matter, okay? So we look at stigmata. Do you know what stigmata is? You might not have heard that word. It's basically physical things that happen in the name of theology, okay? Padre Pio documented for 50 years to be bleeding from his hands and his feet just like Jesus, okay? There's no explanation for it, but he was so deep into his work that he bled the same as Christ, okay? Shamanic changes, we can see them have wake up with bruises or cuts, and then we know that they have had brain pattern changes and breathing and heartbeat and things that have changed completely as well. Now, in the movie Altered States, he takes us to another level, to another state, and he regresses into proto-man. He comes out of the tank as a caveman-looking monkey guy, okay? Which is crazy to think, right? But it happened in steps. When he came out of the tank the first time, he had talked about eating a goat in the dream state. And so when he came out, he had blood all over his face, like real blood, okay? And then he also could not speak, so they had him x-rayed immediately, and he had changes to his larynx. and it was more simian-like when they asked the doctor what was wrong with his neck, and he's like, "What do you mean, who? This is a gorilla." Okay, which that's crazy, but it works into the same ways as this other stuff that we're talking about. Okay. Another one that we have proof of is near-death experiences. We have these people that have verified information, people who are clinically dead, describing their own resuscitation, seeing their self being woke up by doctors, and describing the exact details that had happened without them being awake. Okay, people who flatlined. Pam Reynolds. It was a verified observation during a procedure where her brain was legally dead. You cannot hallucinate information if you are dead. Okay. The through line through all of this is that the mind goes somewhere and the body can't go there, and then the body shows evidence of this trip. Okay, there is physical manifestation in this mental being. The boundary between mind and matter is porous. Altered States takes that evidence and asks, what is the logical extreme to this? And so if you watch Altered States, at the end of the movie, or towards the end of the movie, he blows past Proto-Man and becomes into the cosmos, and he's this plasma creature that's melting, and like he's in torture because the original question to be asked is why, right? There's no feeling, and so only thing he felt was pain because there was no feeling, there was no joy, there was no nothing, and so he's just retching in this protoplasma, just mass of a person. And so my personal anchor to this is that apparently I've astral projected without trying. The dream shows where the water tower is, and it's something that has a real spatial information about a real place. It has a real pinpoint. I can take you to the exact spot that I'm above. I will put on, it's a Google Maps, I'll put a picture here, the exact place that I'm at, just 100 feet in the air. I guess I wish I had a drone so we could do that, but it's over a very busy highway, and I would probably need clearance for that. The danger question, okay? Every tradition maps what happens if you don't come back. What if I don't come back home and I don't wake up? What happens then, right? So we have shamans who literally just go into a catatonic state where they are just dead to the world and they never wake up, okay? People go nuts. They lose their mind. They become schizophrenic. Greeks had very similar ideas about what happened as well. In this movie, Jessup, William Hurt's character, eventually he kind of stops doing the tests. However, it starts manifesting on its own outside of the tank, okay? And so he's seeing his arms just bubble up and stuff. These muscles are changing. And at the very end of the movie, I don't want to spoil it for you, but he turns into that plasma creature in his own home. And so he has to fight that. He accidentally touches his wife, and she turns into this creature as well because he can affect other people with his own being. And so they have to figure out how to get out of this, and they have to fight it. And so that's the ultimate, right? You would have to fight that, okay? So in my dream, I always return, but I've never chosen not to, okay? What happens if I don't go home? What happens if I don't go home? I always go back home and I always wake up. But what happens if I decide not to go home?